All right, so welcome to Master Your Emotions Challenge Day 3. Can you see me? Can you hear me? If you can, let me see your comment in the comment section. And let me see you. Tell me one thing that the Master Your Emotion Challenge have done for you in the past 2 days. This is third day, and I want to believe that you've been able to take out something from these classes and you've been able to begin to actually do something differently for you. And today we're going to be looking at teaching your children, all right, about emotions. How do you practically, literally, begin to actually touch it tangibly? Now, the first thing I'm going to teach you this morning is teaching your children how to identify the act of mental clearing. Now, taking captive of your thoughts. Who? That is when we are, and when we are faced with challenges, who do we blame? Others, or we focus on what we need to change? Now, to declutter our mind, we must stop focusing on circumstances that is out of our control, like the behavior of others, instead of focusing on ourselves. So I found that on my journey, very many of the times as parents, anytime something is happening, we're constantly, looking at the other person. We don't look into the mirror. We point fingers, and this is what we have learned as a people. It's what we have learned with our children. We replicate it because that's what we're taught. Now, you need to learn to focus on what you can control. That's one key thing of being able to build your emotions and also help your children understand the act of mental clearing. So when something happens to me, one of the first things I ask myself is, how much can I control the situation? And if I cannot, I begin to look at it. Okay, so what do I do? Now, truth is, you can't control what others say or do, but you have the power to control how you respond. I say that again. You cannot control what others say or do, but you have the power to control, how you respond. Now, stress comes from actually how we react, not what is happening. Our reaction is a major determining factor to how we view stress. So when people come and tell me, I do a lot, I work so hard, I am, coach, you don't understand. My work is stressful. I actually laugh because when you understand what I'm sharing with you and the ability to actually manage your emotions, it takes away that part of overwhelm. Sometimes I look at my schedule, right? A friend came to me, to my home, and stayed with me for a while, and was asking me, "This your schedule? Is it for one person, or is it? How do you manage this schedule?" And I thought to myself, that's when I actually realized that my schedule is crazy. I didn't even know, right? I am able to actually do everything, not because I'm superhuman, but because I have been able to master me and also master the act of being in control. Now, do you always find yourself not living in the moment? That's one of the things that happen to us. For example, your child is playing with you and you are just going through a shopping list. So in your mind, you're not there. Your child is playing, you are physically playing, but somewhere in your mind, you're going to, what do I need to buy? Oh, how do I need to buy? And all of that. So if your mind is always wandering at the day, you need to begin to learn how to take captive. You need to begin to recognize what are the things that are distracting and disabling your thoughts and reeling them back so you can fully experience being present in the moment. It takes time and it takes a lot of training. You need to put, just like you condition your body to accomplish things that you thought are possible. We can condition our minds to stay fixed on the present and thoughts is a conditioning. So overthinking or obsessing over things, over analyzing are usually very unproductive. And they're unproductive because you are also using time to do it. and it will exhaust your mental energy. So when you are focused on, hey, what is it I'm going to do? Hey, what you find out that you actually get more stressed because you are attempting to figure it all out and you are attempting to have all of the answers. Now, we started this class on the first module. On the first module, some people already sent me chat. So how do I just control my emotion? Just how do I? You're trying to figure it out all at the same time. You want to have all of the answers before you are able to, because you are constantly looking for control. So I say that in parenting, you lose power when you can't control your mind because you're trying too hard. You need to be able to recognize that sometimes no response means you just need to wait. So when it comes to mental clearing, the first thing you want to understand is that you want to choose your thoughts and what you focus on. Anything you focus on is what grows. Anything you focus on is what grows. So your child is misbehaving, your child is, constantly lying, and you keep telling yourself this child is going to lie. You just find out that that particular habit begins to grow because there is a focus on it. Let me give simple analogy. Have you realized that if you want to buy a car, maybe you didn't know about that particular car. Let's take, for instance, you want to buy a Toyota Camry 2018. All of a sudden, every day when you are driving out, you see Toyota Camry everywhere. You see Toyota Camry. You see, it will now be as if you have never seen Toyota Camry. You didn't even know that it was there. Focus. The mind is a powerful tool. So you see Toyota Camry here today, you see it tomorrow. You see, so when you focus on a bad behavior, you magnify it. Your child is always scattered. It's always, and everything in your mind is this child is always scattered. This child is always hyperactive. This child, you will just see that that's the only. You don't find yourself seeing any other thing because that's how the mind, that's the power of the mind. So anytime your child is doing something, ask yourself, am I focusing on the bad behavior? One thing that you want to do is when you find out that you are struggling with focusing on that thing that you think your child is doing wrongly, take a step back and ask yourself, is there something I can recenter on? Being able to help my child solve this problem. That's why I say that you don't build from weakness to strength. You build from strength to weakness. So a child is always hyperactive. And you find that that's a weakness for focus. Why not begin to find the moment that the child can focus on it, even if it is 1 second, and begin to build on it? When you begin to build on it, the child is able to recenter their mind and begin to now walk through that path. I will give you practical example. Our son, was that son who was very hyperactive, still is. And we call him Playmaster 2.0. So when people say, oh, my child is always playing, I have a problem with that. Our son plays like, if you take away play from his life, you have literally killed him. That's his name. His other name is Playmaster 2.0. He's the jolly good fellow. He's a sanguine. He's a kinesthetic learner. He's that child that you're going to say, this thing that you just did now, he will just soap and say, I'm sorry. And then the next second, he just comes in and says, what's popping? What's happening? And you're like, come on, this guy, what's wrong with you? Now, so he has these hyperactivities. He's that one that you're saying we're going out and we need to put time together. And my son is singing in the bathroom. very loudly and just, whistling, and he loves to sing in the bathroom. And we realized that music was a thing to help him calm and focus. We started to tap into that ability to actually build calm using music. Now, it looks like something that should irritate you. Like, why are you only singing at the wrong time? Why not refocus it? So today, he plays the piano. He started playing the piano as a child. We realized that that is one way, right, that can help him, create calm. So he started to learn how to play the piano, and he picked it up. Today he's a pianist in his school, plays the piano very well. But what is great is not what he shows. It's not about, because he didn't learn to play the piano for a show. We learned it so that we can bring calm. Now, what is sweet about this is that the piano in the house, the piano right now is now his room. So he wakes up, he gets to the piano, sits down, and then he just plays it. And from there, he's able to find calm. He's able to, he's able to, take, is he still the bubbly, jubbly guy? Yes, he is. But he's able to find him. He's able to assess him in those times. He's able to know that, okay, yes, there's a part of me that, there's a way I can clear my mind and understand, who I am per time. And, in that time, we started to build skills in time management. My husband is a super time manager, super. And our son, our children manage time well. Today, our son is a timekeeper in his school. He's the only junior prefect. But it didn't come out of, just learning it. It came from the place of us tapping into focusing on the weak, on the strength, and leaving the weakness. It's interesting that he's a time manager, because if there's somebody who can kill time, it was our son. So today, he's been able to, that same thing that looked like a challenge, that same thing that was like, hey, oh, you're always wasting time. You don't know your time. You don't know how to manage your time. We actually reversed it, playing into his strength. He's someone who understands a lot of logic. So we played into that strength. And today he's been able to build that time management aspect. In fact, my children are the last people you take to school late or go for something late. In fact, they're going to grumble from the car until you get there. All right. I am a recovery uh, someone who cannot manage time. All right. But I've been able to learn over the years, all right, how to actually pull all of that together. So I just want you to, I'm sharing this example so that you understand that it's not just about what the child is doing. For every time a child is struggling with a thing, ask yourself, where is the strength in this whole thing? All right. So take what you're doing one step at a time. Don't overthink it. Take action. Just take action and say, okay, what do I need to do now? Other times, the problem isn't the problem. It is the amount you spend thinking of the problem without going through it. That's actually a very, key aspect. Is the amount. My children are always. You are spending too much time focusing on draining yourself mentally. You're focusing on the problem instead of thinking, how do I solve this problem? We must recognize that we can't eliminate some things, right? You can't eliminate some things. So, what you need to ask is, in that time, where is the strength? If not, you'll be consumed with it. We can choose to be consumed with a challenge or choose not to be consumed with it. This is where mental clearing comes up. It's an art in emotional intelligence. Anytime a problem comes up, take a deep breath. All right. That's why we say take the 60 seconds rule. The fact that you're not responding to a thing does not necessarily mean that you don't know what you're doing. It means that you can actually find strength in all of that weakness. So don't spend time, like I tell the parents in the inner circle, don't step that romancing your problem. Hey, my son is always acting. I'm trying to look for a way. No, you're not trying to. You're not doing anything. The problem is not really the problem. The problem is the time we focus overthinking the problem. So begin to ask yourself, what is the strength in this process? All right? You can't control others. You can't control others. It is, you can choose not to be reduced by them. So every time that you think to yourself, oh, it's my children that are frustrating me. That's why I'm talking the way I'm talking. No, 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 no. You lack the strength. You lack the inner strength to actually control your emotions. It's a strength. It's a skill. It's not a prayer point. I'm one of those people who prayed, oh God, help me control myself. Let me not say the things I should not say. Let me not, it doesn't work. You need to build you. The Bible says that the man who can control himself is greater than the man who can take a city. Dear parents, stop taking cities. Stop using your strength. You're using your strength, your physical strength. It doesn't get this problem solved. You need to use your mind. You need to get your mind to start working. You need to put your head in it. All right? Because you do not have the ability to control others. When others say things that are hurtful, it's not an attack on you. It is many of the times about their experiences, about their insecurities, about their perspectives. So you need to begin to now come from the place of empathy. When people tell me, I don't even like the way you even, do this thing. I know that is coming from where they're coming from. A lot of people listen to me and they are enraged. Why is she so confident? Does she, who the hell does she think she is? Why does she tell us that there is a manual to parenting? You fight. Anytime I get that, I don't get angry. Because I've come to realize that your perception, your experiences, all right, will reflect on what it is you think about others. Anxious people live ahead instead of in the moment. Many of the times you find out that in your parenting, you have become anxious. You have become anxious because you have not been able to take captive of the mind. So you live ahead. That's what anxiety is. You don't live in the moment. You don't live in the moment. Another thing that you can do is that you need to create daily routines. Your children will find stability in daily and regular routining, and it teaches them responsibility. Structure. Structure is one area of your life that is able to help you to clear your mind. So if you are always everywhere, your parenting is unpredictable. It is going to put you in those spaces where your mind, it's just, they're just starting. Anything just goes. When you create a routine, when you create a structure, it helps you to run. You literally run on auto, you know, on auto. I have sessions on sessions today, live sessions. Step. There's a that at 5 o'clock you're going to find it's all right. So you need to be that stability, and it's going to look like following. No, 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 no. And that is one of the another thing that you can do is you need to replace more both for you when you want to take out, right? Somebody said it's breaking. Oh, let me be sure that I'm good. Sorry about that. Hold on. So sorry, am I still breaking? I think it's better now, is it? All right. So, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right. So, thank you so much. I think it's better. All right. Great. So, I said replace most of your TV time with books. Part of what we teach the parents in the inner circle is to be able to take away TV for, there's something called screen autism. Now, one of the things that have been found is that that's autism induced by screen. One of the things that have been found is that it gets into the mind. It makes a mess of you being able to control your emotions. No, the reason is the elusiveness. The reason is the sometimes also the light. So there's a lot of effect, all right? There's a lot of effect with that part of your mind. So there's a lot of, light, a lot of fastness. And then, cartoons. I look at most children who watch a lot of cartoons. You find out that they can't practice mental clarity. They can't hold up their emotions. There's a lot of hyperactivity that is linked to screen. So if you're going to raise a child who can understand their emotions, pin it means that they need to be able to be in the moment. Many of the times when you're watching screen, you can't really, it's like there's something, that about being in the moment that is not there. All right. This is really important. All right. So that's one thing. So begin to replace even you as a parent. You will find out that if you begin to read more, right, you will begin to see how your mind get recentered and refocused. Am I saying that watching TV is bad? No. I am saying that being able to read helps your mind, helps you to think better, strengthens your mind. Our mind needs to be built, right? And this is so important. So you need to replace that TV time with books. Get a lot of books. So that's why when parents who have, I hope you've all registered for the upcoming inner circle for the 1st of December. When parents who are not in the inner circle come in, the first thing that hits them is that you need to buy books. And they're like, I still need to buy books. Hey, there's a level you can never access if you're not able to sit to read. There is a level of self-awareness of emotions, emotions tapping into your emotions that you can assess if you're not able to read. The next one is that you need to journal. Journaling is big on mastering your emotions. Yesterday we talked about emotional journaling. We talked about feedback journaling. Please, tech journaling, very, very important. I work with over 10 journals per time, because I love to write. And for every time I write, there's something, even in therapy, when things happen, we talk about journaling. We tell you to go and journal. It's used in therapy to actually do a lot, to replace, a lot, to recenter your mind. Another thing that can help you with the act of mental clearing is to exercise. Take your exercise routine very seriously. It doesn't have to be you going to the gym like some of us who like to carry 20 kg weight. It can be that you're just, walking in your environment. All right, walk in your environment, and that takes away. You perform better when you begin to exercise. You actually perform better. You become better. You think better as an individual. All right. So take your exercises very seriously. Do some steps in the night. Do just take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you can do. Then identify conversations and relationship environment that are toxic. and begin to take yourself away from them and begin to recenter the conversations you're having. So today, take into considerations the conversation you're having daily and what it is that you're doing with them. Every time somebody said I should explain the act of journaling. Ncheka, were you here yesterday? If you were, I talked about journaling, and you should go back to module 2. Now, how do you remain calm when you think your child makes you angry? How do you solve that problem? The first thing you want to do is to get the act of mental clearing and understand it. Now, anger is a natural human emotion. We already said that. Anger is natural, anger is okay, all right? Managing anger in positive ways to set a good example for your children helps them to feel safe and secure. So it's okay to be angry. Anger can be a good time. I've explained that in module 1. All emotions are acceptable, but all behaviors are not acceptable. Let me say that again. All emotions are acceptable, but all behaviors are not acceptable. When you don't accept your own emotions, you act them out on your children and your family members in an unhealthy way. You need to first of all accept your emotions. They are all acceptable, but not all behaviors are acceptable. Staying calm is not easy. So I didn't start out as a calm parent. No, I didn't. It took me years. It took me practice. It took me courses. It took me books. It took me building my skills. It took me consistency. And it was in that consistency that I was able to build what I was able to do. Guess what? I am still not perfect, right? I am still a work in progress. You usually feel overwhelmed, but it's not a skill that you pray for. So don't always wait until the heat of the moment to practice your emotion skills. Give your brain and your body the opportunity to absorb new skills when you're calm. So in your calm, that's when to learn to be calm. So a lot of people come to me and say, how coach, it's difficult to stay calm when the child is just pulling your hair, literally. You can't stay calm. You can't practice calm there. You only practice calm in the times where calm is really. And it is what you do. The Bible says that if your faith fails in the days of adversity, your faith is small. It is what you do in that time, in that calm, that you are actually able to replicate when the storm comes. So, one of the things I have been able to do to be able to stay sane when something around me happen, it's number 1, remind myself that I'm not in control of another person's reaction. My child inclusive. I'm not in control. I can't control what my child does. Like how? Are you Holy Spirit? You do not have control. So I need you to take away that mentality of, I need to control my child. Begin to think, I need to control myself. Because it is only you have the ability to control. Only you. So when people come to me in counseling, you hear things like, coach, I want you to tell me what I will use to control my children, and you do not have the ability. So erase it, throw it in the trash today. Controlling the child. It doesn't exist. You can influence your child, you can control yourself. So I was talking about David Beckham yesterday, and I was, watching the documentary, and I realized that by simply watching his parents work hard on the things that they are doing, he started to understand that if I'm going to be a champion in football, then I need to work hard. You are a curriculum to your child. The biggest curriculum in parenting is you. You as a person. So anytime you think to yourself, I need to really control my children, I need to really control what they are doing, that's already a failed strategy in itself. You can't succeed doing that. So the first thing you want to recognize is that you do not have control over your child's anger. No, you don't. You don't. You don't have control how your child is going to react to a situation. No, you don't. You can influence it. You can model it. You can't control it. At that point, you begin to realize that your job is to teach your children to control their own emotions, not you controlling them. Now, what happens is that we were controlled, we were domesticated. So our parents controlled everything we did. So we got to become parents and we do not have the ability to control it ourselves. Now, that's the danger in the way that we're parenting. That's the danger. Because you control, you sit down. No, don't. Why would you think like that? Why would you say such a thing? No, you don't talk like that. Shut up. Control. When the child is older, the child do not have the ability to control, to be in control, to be in charge of themselves. So they always need someone. That's why you see parents who are very, who behave anyhow. So you always need somebody to say, no, that's not the right thing to do. No. So these are people who already were in, they were domesticated. So what we call discipline is not discipline. Yesterday I was sharing in the Tuesday Live and I said that when your discipline is focused on, I want my child to obey me, I want my child to be quiet, I want my child to be good, lost failed strategy. Because none of these things can deliver on their own. They are not skills. So you need to begin to think, what skills do my child need? My child who is angry now, who expresses anger in a wrong way. You might find out that that is just you. That is just your template. That is just your report card showing to you. So ask yourself, what skills do my child need in this situation? Not how do I control my child not to behave like this. The moment you have that control in your head, you are going to run into trouble in the future. Now, number 2 is remind yourself and have this mantra in your head, like I tell the parents in the inner circle. This is not an emergency and nobody died. It was a mantra I had to learn myself. So I asked myself, is this an emergency? I'm going to share with you a methodology, all right, that you're going to use. Now, another thing you want to do when, those moments, your child is throwing a tantrum, sit down. Change your body language by sitting in a chair. See, there's something about calmness, connecting on calmness level. So somebody comes and says, you're very stupid. You are da, 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 da. And then you say, okay, how do I help you? The person uses guard. When you match aggression with aggression, you will bring fire. And that's what we do most of the times. The child is throwing a tantrum. You too, you are there, you're slapping the child, you're getting angry. What are you doing exactly? You are not teaching you're just trying to control. And for every time you think you are actually controlling your child, you've actually lost control. Think about it. For every time you think that you are controlling your child, think about it, you have lost control. You just can't say it. So when you sit down, your body language, when you sit down in your chair near your child, your body language changes. Do you know that for boys have a lot about physical touch? So your son is raging, if you're a teenage son or something, you just put your hand and just say, son, this is one of the things that as in everything dies down. Because you've been able to connect with that child. An angry child is not a listening child. A child who is upset is not a child who can listen to your preaching. An angry child is a child who is struggling to find themselves. So when you make it a moment of shouting, preaching, jumping up and down, you lose grip. You lose the ability to even tap into that person's struggles because that child is struggling at that time. When you sit down, actually for your toddlers, for those of us who have toddlers, sit with your toddler when your toddler is throwing a tantrum, for instance. Toddler is on the floor. If you sit on the floor and you are at the same level, eye level, what happens is it decreases the brain's perception of threat in the moment. So that's how to stop tantrums. You're sitting down. You are looking at that child at the same level. The child is not threatened. Let me tell you how it works. You're a big person, right? It's like a giant talking to you, right? A giant is talking to you, and you're just so imagine you shouting on your toddler. There is no connection. As in the child is lost. Like you're shouting, and the child is wondering, why is this big person? So the child is threatened. So when there is a threat, you either go into a flight, you either go into a fight. So that's why you see some toddlers, they flee and they won't run. Some of them will fight you. Some of them, will actually freeze. So you're talking to a child that has not just done something. You're very stupid. And you're still there looking at me. The child has frozen. And you're still punishing the child for freezing. You have actually connected, not connected with the child. You have actually gotten the child, the threat level. The brain is already threatened. The brain is trying to react to the threat. And then boom, you still attack. So the brain is, threatened. The brain throws a tantrum. You still slap the child. You have just told the child that they shouldn't even understand what is happening to them. So the parents, so the children, does this work for people who have 2-year-olds? It works for people especially who have toddlers. Because if you begin to think about the way a giant, imagine a giant talking to you and you're here, you're so small. Just imagine it. That's how your toddler looks when you yell. So you are, your toddler is afraid. Sometimes they bite. That bite is not, we call it rebellion. That's your child fighting for their lives. The brain has said, there's a threat. How do we react to this situation? You're talking to your teenager. Your teenager goes into a fight mode and begins to drag. Then you fight back. You squash everything. The brain is even confused. Like, what's happening here? Very many of the times, you even look at your teenager and say, I'm talking, you're not the one I'm asking. We put our children in very difficult situations and then we kill them for it as well. So you're talking to your child, all right? Your child is there. The child has already gone into a freeze mode. You're saying, you already know that the child, sometimes it's as if we set our children up so that they can be wrong and then we will beat them. Sometimes I'm like, are you trying to set this child up? So in our discipline, we set our children up because that's what we do. That's what we know. So a child hasn't done the assignment. You know that if I ask this child now, have you done the assignment? The child is either going to freeze, take a flight, or even fight. So the child, that's when you say, you already know the assignment is not done. Then you call the child, have you done the assignment? The child is not looking at you. And you already can see. And then the child, and you're like, you're not answering that. And then you lash out on this child. The brain becomes completely confused. The gray matter in the brain is what suffers it. Now that's why in our part of the world, creativity is limited. Because we are constantly attacking the gray matter. The gray matter is where, learning happens, creativity happens. So the brain shuts down that part and begins to operate. So, I talk about the higher knowledge, the higher functioning part of the brain. So what happens is that higher functioning part of the brain shuts down, and then the brain begins to now just move just like that. So the brain is not, and that's why we come out and say, but we turned out okay. Because we're no longer thinking with the higher function. It's no longer in existence. Because the brain is tired of going into freeze fight and all of that. Freeze fight, flee, he's tired of it. So at the end of the day, you find out that you do your children a disservice. Pursuing this, obey me, be good. You do them a disservice because you're chasing what is not even important to that child at that time. So if your focus is on just sit down, be quiet, obey me, be good, you're going to make this mistake. Not because obedience and being quiet and being good is bad, but because it doesn't deliver to actually deliver a child in the place of being disciplined. So you find out that you're constantly setting your children up. So your child haven't done the assignment isn't done. Can we begin to look at why? You already know. Why do you want to set them up? We even say things like, I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. I am waiting for you. By the time, let me go home, and they didn't do it. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? Because you don't even want to give the child an opportunity for the brain to function. Now, the brain shuts that part of higher, functioning skills, higher functioning, thinking, and then they just go, they just follow. Then you have domesticated the child. So when you domesticate, that's the difference. You are just raising a child who just obeys you, just follows, no critical thinking, no part to, so they just continue just to follow. Will they turn out okay? They will be okay, but they can never be able to deliver above okayness. Now, be mindful. Rather than worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, this is what you should do in times where there is a challenge. Use the 5-4-3-2 technique. Now, what are the 5-4-3-2-1 technique? Name 5 things you see. Name 5 things you see. Name 4 things you hear. Name 3 things you touch. Name 2 things you smell. And name 1 thing you taste. So, we call it tapping, right? We call it tapping into the mind. Now, when you are having a challenge, if you're able to actually look at what you see, look at what you hear, you will be able to solve that problem better. What do you see? A child is upset. And you say, no, mommy, ask yourself, what are the 5 things I can see when this child is having this problem? How can I see it? What can I see? Put it, you must have a mental note. And then ask yourself, what are the 4 things I can hear? What is this child saying that he's not saying? What is this child saying that he's not saying? Number 3, what are the 3 things I can touch in that moment? It could be his shoulder. It could be your leg. There's a position that you even take when you're trying to solve a problem that appeals to a child. I was teaching in the church over the weekend in Uyo, and I said that when we talk about the arrow, we say, oh, my child is the arrow in the hand of the mighty man. The mighty man is you, is the thrower of the arrow. The arrow is not the problem. The problem is the person who is positioning to throw the arrow. And the position you take in throwing that arrow is a big deal. So ask yourself, what are the three things I can touch? Where I'm positioning, the way I put my hand. These are the things that can connect in those moments with your child. Ask yourself, what are the two things I can smell? Sometimes, many times, being aware of your environment taps into the senses. What can I smell? Think about it in that way. And then what are the things I can taste? Sometimes right in your mouth, you're bitter. You can taste bitterness literally. What can you taste? What is happening to me? And if you're able to get into this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, you will begin to see solutions to the problem. So the problem is not the problem. The problem is how long we go around thinking about the problem. Are you following me? Are you listening to me? To me, let me see what it is that you are learning in the comment section. And let me see you share your favorite emojis if this is making sense to you. And let me see you hit the like button. Now, the next one is tapping. We call it the EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. Emotional Freedom Technique. All right? And it's used to relieve stress. So you can do this when you're having those difficulties. You can actually tap. So tap quietly or tap slowly. There's something it does to the brain. So the brain is tapping into calmness in that moment. All right, tapping into calmness in that moment. And that is one key aspect that you want to use to be able to relieve your stress. You can get those stress balls. You can get, something that you can actually get your mind because you're trying to be in the moment. You're trying to work on your mind. All right. And this is going to really help you. Somebody said the solution, please complete the solution to the children's assignment. I already completed it. And I said, instead of asking your child, why didn't you have you done your assignment? You can come from I see the assignment isn't done. Can we discuss the challenges instead? So you begin to teach your children to actually see what it is that they can do instead of trying to set them up for the things that they haven't done. So don't set your children up for failure without even knowing it. All right? Um, Talk slower and softer. For every time that there is every time that maybe your toddler is throwing a tantrum or your child is doing something that's annoying you. I have teenagers myself. Sometimes I hear my teenagers say some things. I'm like, child, oh Lord. But one of the things I've learned to do is that you don't match your child's intensity with intensity. All right? It's rain that grows seed, not thunder. I've said that over and again. Anytime you find yourself in that place, you will need to get to the point, oh, your child is trying to touch up is everywhere. You need to tell yourself, somewhere in your head, tell yourself, this is not an emergency. I'm going to talk calmly. I'm going to talk slowly. I'm going to solve this problem without getting overworking myself. And my child is going to listen to me. See, it's going to take a lot of time. Oh. Let me tell you what has happened to us. A lot of us say, this thing you are teaching, it doesn't work. We try it once. You just say, this thing doesn't work. This thing doesn't work. Oh, there's it's not Africa. I'm in Africa. We're not like that. Blah, 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 and all of that. Let me tell you what we're doing. So we raise our children to be programmed for the noise, for the shouting. So we rewire their brain to only see that it's only when you raise your voice that things get solved. So when you talk softly, they are like, what's wrong with this one? In fact, some parents in the inner circle, when they get in and they start to, work on their calmness, their children will tell them, this is what they are trying to do. What's that? They're trying to do like an Oyibo parent. That's what they know. Because they believe that Africa is associated with chaos. The black man is associated with us just being everywhere. It's already, and you say those things, you do those things, you leave them. So your children can't find calm. They don't see, calm as violence is a spoken language. I was in Germany for Germany, Australia, I can't remember where, but I was looking at the environment, Australia, no, I was looking at the environment. It was interesting where children were. There was no child crime. Programming. We have programmed our children for violence. So you need to now begin to. It's going to take time. So if you practice what I'm telling you, you even see resistance from the children. But with time, the brain begins to recenter. The brain begins to recenter. The brain begins to, see that when I'm serious, I am serious. All right? When I'm serious, I'm serious. So your children understand that, okay, my parents can be upset, can be angry, and still pass the message without raising fire and brimstone. Sometimes, someone will come and say, I think that is not happy about this thing. He just, expressed it that our children know that you can be upset about something without bringing down the roof. Without, bringing down the roof. So talk slower and softer, all right? And you will see the magic just happen. With time, your child's intensity of that program you put in there will begin to actually recenter. It will begin to recenter. It will begin to, it will begin to take another shape. And then even for you, you go to a place, you now see a parent yelling at their children. You're like, why are you talking like this? Because something in you, is happening. It takes time for the brain to rewire. You also have a brain that have been wired to only scream and to only react instead of talking slower and softer. So anytime something happens, tell yourself, okay, I'm going to be slow. I'm going to take my words one after the other, and I'm going to be soft about what I'm saying. Your softness and your slowness doesn't take away the content. It doesn't take away the effect. It's just a thought process. It doesn't take away what should happen. No, it doesn't. It's just a mindset. We just have a mindset that if I don't shout at that child will not know that I'm serious. That's not true. So it's a mindset you also need to begin to work on. And with time, you see your children connect more. You see them be able to actually come to you, and you see yourself begin to solve your problem. So don't match your child's anger with anger. Match it with slowness and softness. Match it with slowness and softness, and you're going to see the magic happen. Sometimes you're going to find yourself sleep. All right? That's the next one. You need to hug yourself. Because sometimes you're going to be the one who will need self-compassion. Sometimes you're looking at yourself, you're so stressed. Just be kind to yourself. So even when you say you sleep, you've not been able to manage your emotions. That's why you have the emotion journal. You come back, you journal it. See, anything that is patterned, you have the ability to break or keep. Anything that is patterned, you have the ability to break or keep. So when you are able to see the pattern in your journey of your controlling your emotions, you are able to say, every time I feel this way, all right, this is what happens to me. So hug yourself sometimes. You are the one who will need self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. You're going to fail very many times. You're going to make mistakes very many times. But for every time, tell yourself, I am here to actually, help my child. I'm also on a journey to help myself. All right? Take a time out. Sometimes your child is throwing a tantrum or your child is angry about something. Step back. Don't give your child a timeout. Give yourself a timeout. Yep. Sometimes I'm coming back from work and I have just a lot, and sometimes things have just happened that I want to actually just talk to the children as I'm coming in. And my daughter will be the one to look and say, Mommy, I think you need some time out. And I'm like, yes. Give me the next 10 minutes and I will be back downstairs. And then we will talk about what happened in the day. Give yourself a timeout. So every time when you think that you need to give your child a timeout, think about it. You are the one that truly needs that timeout. So we give our children, go to the corner, go and sit down there. You're actually the one that needs to step back and go and take a timeout and clear your head. If you make discipline an emergency, it will ruin your process. So do not make discipline an emergency. The next one is think good thoughts about your child. Remember what we said at the beginning, that every time that your child is, you know, you're focusing on what it is that the child is doing, you'll find out that you're going to struggle. So think good thoughts. Remember, the good things that your child should do. Remember the things that your child will normally just do. Just think on good thoughts. Every good thought. The more you think on good thoughts, the more you see the good about your child. The more you think on bad thoughts, the more you see the bad about your child. So think good thoughts. It's Philippians that says, whatever is good, whatever is beautiful, whatever is kind, whatever, begin to replace your thought about your child. This child is always stubborn. Is this child that making me? Is this child? Replace those words. Replace them that, that this child is a gift. This child is a blessing. You will begin to find out that all your thoughts, all right, will help you to begin to align. This takes time, and that's why for every course we run, I've always said, the parents in the inner circle will be able to translate this thing in tangible terms and run with it. So, one of the things that the inner circle does to you is that it prepares you to assimilate a lot of this knowledge. It prepares you to see things in perspective. It prepares you to actually rewire your thought process. It's a change in perspective. So, does it mean that they're not having the same problem you're having? No, they are. Actually, they are. The difference is the problem is not the problem. The problem is how long we stay thinking about the problem. So these parents have gotten to a place where they're going to understand that, okay, I can begin to do this replacement. It's going to take me time, but it is a journey I'm willing to go. So think on good thoughts. Think on good thoughts. And if you're not in the inner circle, please don't even think about it. All right? Don't even think about it. Just get in there and you will begin to see how much disservice you have done to your child over the years. Is a disservice. When you're not a trained parent, you do your children a disservice. You do your children a total disservice. And we were having a conversation in the inner circle about the child who wanted an iPhone 8 and the parents were lashing out and all of that. And many people were like, the things they said and all of that. I said, you would be the same person if you do not train yourself. So it's not about whether you can or cannot. It is that if you do not train yourself, you will be that man, that woman. And it goes beyond having money or not having money. I was teaching on financial trauma in the inner circle the other day, and I said it is about how we have made money a god. So you cannot provide something for your child, and then you go say, it's because we don't have money. You center your parenting is the value system is centered on things. It's not centered on values. It's not centered on becoming. It's all about things. Just think about conversation for another day. Now, you need to practice a script with your child. Practice a script with your child. Let let your children role model what it is that you want the reaction to look like. One of the biggest problems I have found in parenting is that we assume a lot. Assumption. And the child should know what it is. And the child should know when I'm angry. Or the child should. So when our children make mistakes and they have not been able to manage their emotions, we actually we do role modeling in my house every day, every time. It's a job because our son is a kinesthetic learner. You can't even have a kinesthetic learner and not add grammar. So in fact, the other day we were on holiday, and our son had done something. We were on the street, right, walking on the street in Cape Town, and our son had done something, and then he squeezed his face. He came back, and so we came back. We laughed about it, but the interesting thing, we role modeled what it is that he should have done. In fact, sometimes we turn it into fun and joke. I'll give you a very vivid example. So our daughter had wanted to buy donuts. It was a story of one donut. In fact, we made it into fun in my home, and we started to call it one donut, right? And then she was like, she must have the donut. Hey, the donut. Did. It was a time for us to actually teach, but that was not the right time to teach. Because at that time, we have said, no, you're not having the donut. And you're not going, and then she squeezed face, and then she threw a tantrum, and then in those times, my husband and I were very cool, calm, and collected. No drama, nothing. But when we came back, we acted a script for her. What she should have done in a situation like that. We didn't assume that she must know it. Can't you see I'm a parent coach? Your dad is a coach. I'm a coach. You need to know it. Not embarrass me. You want to? Nah. So we acted a script for her and told her this is what she should have done. And then we created fun out of it. And everybody laughed. It was so funny. When she was seeing herself in the script, she was not like, okay, I shouldn't have done that. Then we acted the script of what should have been done. Because we want our children to be able to tap into understanding who they are and understanding that they have control over the way that they react about things. Creating new habits don't happen overnight. You are not going to be perfect. Your goal is not perfection. Your goal is calmness and confidence. The more you are able to also create and recreate your emotions, the more you are able to tap into your confidence and your calmness. And it changes the game for you. So as you learn, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to grow. You're going to see yourself evolve. It's not a one-stop car. And it's okay to be angry. But it's not okay to hurt somebody when something happens. So script acting, practicing script acting with your children is one great way to develop their emotions, develop their reactions, develop their self-awareness. So when something is happening, take note. Don't always be in a hurry to react. Ask yourself when things happen, is there a better way? A parent was in the inner circle, was the one who was sharing that her son had gone to school, no, church, to fight somebody in church, a church minister, a pastor. Because the woman has done something, and the guy fought back. Now, that was the guy's fight reaction to a situation he didn't know how to handle. No, so she didn't go there she said, when I got there, a lot of people were shocked at my calmness. They were like, he's not watching. Hey! She was like, I understand. Um, you know, she understood that her son had gone into a fight mode, which shouldn't have happened. And she needed to find out what and then fix it. So the concentration was not on, you disobeyed an adult. Oh, you have done this to the adult. Hey, you have disgraced me. You have just, you I mean, look at me. I have paid for parenting classes. They even look at me. She teaches in church, she teaches in parenting classes. Her children are like those children you see, and you look at them and you're like, wow, what are you doing? She said that's the day I knew that I've started to walk on my journey differently. And she stepped back and started to think about it. What exactly happened? Why were you put into a fight mode? If you're not able to identify what makes your child behave the way they have behaved, you cannot solve the problem. You will romance it, close it, and then the child will continue. What happens is that the child will now, recall. Sometimes in that position, the child just covers up just to be seen. Because your target is obedience, your child is going to give you obedience. And in the script of discipline, obedience in itself is not a determining factor to the fact that you have created that discipline. So discipline is not a being, is a becoming. So you don't, it's not, and children need to be disciplined. I need to keep them in place. They need to sit down when I say they should sit down. When that is your goal, you actually miss the essence of building people. We're more interested in domesticating our children than training them. And I don't know why that is. Because of our hard wiring. You need to begin to look at you're going through. So instead of saying, sorry for getting my temper, because it's a wrong message that anger, but the later one sends a child to understand that it's okay to deal with it. So we apologize for. I told our, and he said, Mommy, the way you reacted was actually a bit overboard. What do you think? It was actually yes. So I'm sorry for losing my temper. So next time, I will find a way to actually calmly do it. I'm sorry I yelled. Can we talk about what happened? So I'm sorry I was angry. No, there's no being sorry for being angry. There's no being sorry for being angry. You just need to, all right, understand that anger is okay. Anger is good, can be good. It is what you do with it. I'm sorry I shouldn't have said that. Even though I was angry, I should have walked away. I should have calmed down before we talked about this. I should have really looked at it from another perspective. So there's a lot of humility in what it is that I'm sharing. It doesn't always come the way that, just like this. You're just reading it and you just be able to, just do it. Now, emotional intelligence allows us to see from a child's perspective. It helps us to make better decisions. It helps us to discipline better. It helps us to build better, relationships. It helps us to do a lot of things better. And I'm going to just rush through the final slide that I have quickly through this before we finally just close for this module. So please give me the next 10 minutes of your time and we will be able to put it all together. All right, are you following? And are you looking at what you will do differently? I want this class to be a class where you will really go back and implement, and not just the one that you are just talking about and just being in. So number one thing that you want to hear, the strategies and the guidelines in quick suggestions for me to share, you will need to plan with your child is it's number one, right? Somebody said no wonder it's called intentional parenting. Oh yes, that's why it's called intentional parenting. Number one, you need to label emotions. Now begin by teaching your children how to recognize and label emotions. Okay? Excuse me. So emotions like happiness, sadness. I don't know how many of you were able to use that emotions wheel. How many of you were able to use the emotions wheel? Let me see your comment in the comment section. Were you able to use the emotions wheel? Were you able to do that exercise? Because when you look at that emotions wheel, you will see that our emotional vocabulary is very little. So we can literally not be able to, we're not able to really share, right? We're not able to really share what we feel. Sometimes you're angry, you cannot say that you're disgusted. So because you're not able to recognize those emotions, you can't feel it, you can't name it, you can't shame it. So feel it, name it, shame it. So if you can name it, I'm happy that I can see a lot of yes, I did. If you can name it, you can feel it, you can name it, then you can shame it. So, what you are feeling per time, your children need to recognize. How do you do this in simple terms? So, do you think you were angry about this? The other day, my son said to me, I don't think it's anger, I think it's a rush of disappointment. And that was what helped him to deal with that circumstance per time. So use words. You can use facial expressions. I was watching that video of a 4-year-old boy in China. That the mother is a very popular page. The mother was talking about what happened at the end of the at the end of the day. Have a conversation with your children. How did you feel today? Let them be able to tangibly touch their feelings. And I had the boy saying today, I didn't handle my feelings well. I took some bad decisions and I'm not happy about it. And then the mother was able to, okay, those are you happy or sad. Have a 2-year-old with them. Practice practice feeling emotion. I did. Yes. So feel it. Let them be able to name it. What have they named? Get them to have these conversations about feeling. Okay? But I am sure that the network, all right. I'm going to trying to work on that. Ensure that that is fixed so that we can continue. Just give us a few minutes. Yep, I know that I'm breaking. All right. Okay, thank you for that feedback. Thank you for that feedback. Okay, connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try to unplug your router and move closer to it. Yeah, actually already tells me that my connection is unstable. Okay, so just yeah, I think we're better now. Fairly good, and we're good now. Okay, great. So I was talking about naming emotions. Please allow your children to label their fears. Allow them to say, I'm afraid. You also learn to label emotions. Number two, share your own emotions. You know, we think the other day I was talking about lying. Help, my children is always lying. And I find out that many children pick. So lying is a developmental thing. See, every to lie at some point. You don't need to teach lying. But you need to teach honesty. Mm. Because skill in itself, being able to actually become honest. You need to learn to become just become honest. But lying comes to us easily. So when parents say, "Do you see? I don't lie," that's a lie, and I'll prove it to you. Even those of us who don't like lies, your child comes to you in modeling your own emotions, in sharing your own emotions, and you say, "Yes, yes, yes, I'm okay, I'm fine." That's a lie. Your child knows that something is wrong. Then you begin to teach your child to mask their emotions, which is a very dangerous place to be. All right? Let me see if I can reconnect to another network. All right, so I've switched network. I am hoping that this is a lot better. So sorry about that. So, model healthy emotional expressions. Don't teach your children that suppressing expressions is a thing. Don't teach them that it is wrong, it's not okay. We're constantly teaching our children to suppress their emotions. And then when something, happens, you're like, why are you not talking? Why are you not talking? I've been talking to you. You don't want to tell me what is wrong. But you also were not able to be vulnerable enough to say, "Oh, I'm actually not feeling okay." So some time ago, I came back home and our daughter said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Somebody just upset me in the office." She was like, "Oh, sorry." And then, she would say, "Should I be with you or tea? Should I do this for you?" I'm teaching her that it's okay to actually express what you feel. And I want to leave it. I want to prove it to you that there's nothing wrong with you feeling what you feel. All right? All right. So it was a very big path, for her. Okay? It was a very big learning for her. Please, we will need to just be patient with the network and we're going back and forth. I'm really sorry. I apologize, but I do not have control over what is happening. And I'm trying to fix what I can fix at my end. Actually, who is connecting to it? Somebody's connecting. All right, so sorry about that. We're battling with a network failure. I don't know what is happening, but I don't know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, please let me see your comment in the comment section telling me that you can hear me. All right, great. All right, great. So I was able to say, somebody just annoyed me today, and she was able to extend so much grace, so much. So I will expect our child, our daughter, to come to me and say, this is what is wrong with me. Because I've been able to model that it's not about, right or wrong emotions, is how I am able to actually manage, right, that situation. So share and model your emotions, your own emotions. Stop telling your children, there's something wrong with me, I'm okay. That's a lie. That's number one. Number two, you also show you telling them that suppressing their emotion is also a thing they should, just suppress your emotion. It's not a big deal, right? Suppress it. Please share your emotions. What I'm not saying tell your children your body. I am saying share your emotions. So I didn't go saying that's how somebody came and now suddenly you screaming and now if it's age appropriate for our daughter, if she asks, I'm going to share. But if it's not age appropriate, it's not sharing that somebody got me upset was good enough. I didn't need to go into details. And she was able to learn to extend grace. So sometimes, our children are not able to say, I am afraid, mom. I am afraid, dad. They're not scared of saying, I'm just missing you guys. I just cannot do this alone. They're not afraid to do that because they've also seen us be able to share what we feel per time. So share your own emotions. Validate their emotions. Let your children know that their emotions are okay, they are normal. Don't dismiss or invalidate their emotion. You can say something like, I understand you're feeling sad because you miss me, but this is something that we need to do. Not say, what's wrong with you now? Your mates are even able to just do something. Your mates are even able to. So recently, one of the milestones our children needed to, overcome or achieve was to be able to stay in the house alone. And, stay over in the house alone. We had gone somewhere, we had, traveled, and in the night, our daughter just calls the dad and just says, I'm missing you guys. Oh. Somewhere in your head, you want to say, oh, what's wrong with you, Abegi? Why are you crying? Then you're almost 14. What's wrong with you? And that's what we do. But we took a step back and we're like, oh, okay, don't worry. We're just going to be back in 2 days. And all of that and all of that. We just gave her assurance and let her understand that what you're feeling is valid. It's okay to miss us. So your child comes and says, I'm really missing you in trouble. You say, is it not just the 2, 3, but I just went. I'm coming back now. I beg. You dismiss it. Tomorrow, you want your child to actually come to you, to actually say, and so the child, develops the, okay, it's fine. So I don't need to feel it. So your child can feel it. Your child can no longer, they can express them. And then when they are now older, when they are now teenagers, we're not fighting. We don't want to say, my teenagers are not expressive. My teenagers cannot say what is wrong with them. It is not true. You see all those things we say about teenagers, it is a lie. These are the hard wirings we have given our teenagers, our children. So what you do with your toddlers now, what you do with your children in preteens, that's what is going to reflect when they eventually become teenagers. Oh, people say, once my children became, they don't even like me, touching them, hugging them. No, my son has not even stopped being a hugging machine. He still hugs, like his life is dependent on it. You want something happens in my home, we will say, this person needs a hug. An angry person is the one that needs love the most. An angry person is the one that needs love the most. So when you're angry in my home, you're going to see everybody coming to say, I think she needs a hug. So one of those days, I don't know what was wrong with me. And then my husband calls the children and say, I think your mommy needs a hug. My goodness. So if you're able to come from that end, you find your children, even as adults, they are healthy with their emotions. We suppress and kill the emotions of our children as toddlers. When they now become teenagers, they are hardwired. They have a thick skin about what you're saying. So you're saying something, duh. So they keep this thing of, I beg. Because they've learned to suppress emotions over the years. So the problem is not the child. The problem is what it is that you have taught the child and shouldn't do. So validate their emotions. Not say, why are you crying? Why must you even cry? What's the meaning of that? I say our daughter was crying before. These are children that are very independent. And it was actually literally crying. I was like, hey, wait, what are we going to do to this cry now? And we were able to extend grace. We're able to recognize that her feelings are valid. You can't dismiss it in the name of, oh, I'm trying to really get my child to think, to. No. We validated it and then assured her that it is something that it's not abnormal. It's okay. So even as an adult, she knows that expressing her feelings are okay. Number four, use stories and book. Use age-appropriate stories. Tell your children stories. Discuss the character's feeling, how they handle them. Discuss feelings, what this person is feeling right now. Use emotion-based games like for toddlers. Play the game. What do I feel? Happy? What do I feel? Sad? So play the game. Ask your children to guess the emotion and share a time when they felt that way. That can be the game, all right? So you just say, what face am I making? Anger. And you say, so what was the time you felt angry? What did you do? How did you feel? Teach coping strategies. Teach your children healthy ways to cope with strong emotions. Teach them how to take deep breathing. Teach them how to do the 5 1 2 3 5 2 5 4 3 2 1 technique. Teach them how to do it. Teach them how to take a break when they're upset. Teach them how to step away, but you need to show them. The next one, you need to role play. Use role play scenarios. Stop waiting in the moment of chaos. That's when you now say, I've told you, when you control your emotion. What's that? Nobody learns in chaos. The brain it's not wired to learn in chaos. The brain is wired to learn in calm. So if you're not able to extend calm, if you're not able to, teach, in calm, you'll find out that your child is struggling. Your child is struggling. So teach it in the time when they are not upset. Teach them what they can do. When the time now comes, they now know what it is that they can do. Role playing will improve their empathy and even their social skills. Do an emotional chat. Chat with pictures of faces. When my children were younger, we had the emotional chat. We had a lot of things pasted around our house. Encourage questions. Be open to your children about questions about emotions. Ask them honestly and at a very appropriate, age and understanding level. So what I'm going to share about a bit about, lying and what all the things that we think about it, right? And how you can tap into that to help your child to teach them honesty intentionally. Use the I statement. Encourage your child to express their feeling using I. I feel sad when my thoughts are taken away without asking. I feel so. Our children can be really very expressive. Our son can get home and say, I didn't like the fact that someone used my room in my absence and kept it dirty. I actually felt really, I don't like it. And then he's able to say, this is what happened to me. Be patient. Understand that learning about emotions is a lifelong process. You need to be patient, you need to provide safety. You need to provide that environment where your child can express themselves. Don't make your environment so chaotic that your children are even afraid to ask. Your children are even afraid to say, to even cry. In some of our homes, you have made crying so much of a big deal that your children are afraid to now cry. Why will a child be afraid to cry? It is cry now. The child should be able to cry, and it doesn't matter the circumstances. So parents say things like, why are you crying for nothing? What does that even mean? How do people cry for nothing? There is no emotion that gets out there for nothing. There is always a data that is provided. Celebrate emotional growth. Oh, yes. Acknowledge and celebrate it. Sometimes I tell our son, I say, I love the way you handle this particular rivalry with your sister. I said, I'm learning. Do you know that our children are able to understand when things are going wrong to the point that our daughter came back from school one day and said, this time, mommy, I was really aggressive. Hey, and everybody noticed though. I know that used to be very bubbly, very, calm. And I said to her, I think I was really wrong. I don't know what happened to me. This is a child who has self-awareness, who understands who he is. So when something is wrong, He's able to pin it down and say, what happened? He's taking data. He's stepping back to say, no, something must be wrong. And then immediately he was able to fix what was wrong. He went back to himself. People, children who are aware, people who are self-aware do not get into depression because you understand when something is wrong and you are able to acknowledge it and fix it. Seek help. If your child is suffering so much with emotions, social interaction, seek help of a counselor. Seek help. Get into a system that holds you accountable. Again, if you have not booked a slot to be in the inner circle, please do that. Teaching your children about emotion is an important aspect of their overall development. When you provide them with tools, can acknowledge and understand, that they can manage their feelings themselves, not that you are managing it for them. It takes them to that place you can't even imagine. So remember that your children, it's not your responsibility to manage their emotions for them. Your responsibility is to manage your own emotions and guide them to manage theirs. So stop bailing your children out of their emotions. Your child is angry, can, want sweet and couldn't get it. You're like, okay, don't worry. Take chewing gum since you cannot get sweet. That's you bailing them out. That's you trying to control their emotions for them. You need to be able to take your child to the point where they can fix what is wrong by themselves. Very many of the times, the owner of the problem, that's where the solution also resides. So let your child be able to see strength in their problems at all times. But for you to be able to achieve that, you need to be able to see strength in what your child is doing even before your child will be able to do that. So anytime your child, right, anytime your child is putting those things, anytime your child is doing anything, tell yourself, I need to find strength. Stop bailing them out to what it is that they feel. Stop shoving them with biscuits because they are crying. That's a wrong way to teach emotions management. Stop giving them that impression that you are the one that that will just rescue them. Stop rescuing them from feeling what they feel. It is important they feel it. It's important they name it. It's important they shame it. It is their responsibility, not yours. Even for your 1 year old, what they feel is what they feel. Don't stop it. Give them tools to be able to manage it. And I've shared tools with you today, and I'm hoping that you are able to that chicken. You are able to, all right, put a lot of those things in perspective and begin to help your child manage their emotions better. Don't say, oh, you are crying, or you're come. Let me give you, food. Just eat. That's not you managing emotions. That's you bailing them out. Your child is angry. You're like, okay, come, let me go and do something that will make you happy. That's a wrong way to manage emotions. If a child cries for long, even if you have hugged and stayed calm, what else you do? Nothing. You do nothing. You let them cry. Let them let it out. There's nothing wrong. Sometimes you don't even need to say anything when a child is feeling a feeling. Sometimes you just need to be quiet and be there and just be in the moment. And that might be one of the best things you can actually do to your child in those times. So sometimes you just need to sit down with the child and say nothing. There was a video I saw of a child who had a meltdown and was on the floor on the street. All the mother did was come down from her car, sat down on the floor with the child, and that was it. And that was all. She didn't say a word. She didn't offer pacify. Stop pacifying your child out of their emotion. Oh yeah, stop crying. Take phone. That's it. Take phone and watch cartoon. You are teaching your child to suppress your emotions. Please don't do that. Teach them. Stop being afraid of your children tapping into their emotions. It's because you are being raised to be afraid of you tapping into your emotions. All right? It's so key. What if you need to leave the place because you have an emergency? That's your own conversation. I don't know what that means, man. You need to stay. Parenting requires a lot of time for training. What emergency can be bigger than you being able to help your child, navigate life? Except somebody is dying. And even when someone is dying, trust me, there's always a way out. If it becomes priority for you, then it is priority for you. So don't bail your children out of their emotions. Allow them to feel it. So when a child comes and say, I'm bored, you just quickly, sometimes your child actually needs to feel boredom. Let them so that they will be able, in boredom, people think, people become creative. So we're constantly trying to fit in things. All right? Your body, trying to fit in things into the activities. You're crying, take phone. You are angry, take biscuits. We fitting things. You're bored, you watch cartoon. You're destroying the ability for the child to even understand who they are. Boredom is a key tool to children understanding themselves. Leave them to get creative on their own. Our son learned how to play, cars on his own, do a lot of things. So today he's very creative. He's very creative. He creates a lot of things on his own. You can't find our son not being able to do anything. But don't care. Ayo has something to do part time. He can turn a clothes to a puppet and he's playing with it. Allow them to think. Allow them to think. You know, allow them to think. If they are bored, let them get bored. Tell them it's fine, it's okay to board. Sit and look around. Teach them the 5, 4, 3, 2, one technique. Let them be able to tap into themselves. Stop bailing out. Stop bailing your children out of what they feel per time. You are destroying them. You are not giving them what they need. So bailout is also in the emotions. So while we're not bailing out in skills, we find a lot of people bailing out children. All right, bailing out children in what they feel. So stop bailing them out. Take biscuits. I hope that today you will not tell your child shove biscuit down their throat or you shove cartoon down their throat. You pacify with what they should feel and they lose touch what it is that they must feel. Thank you so much for joining me. So sorry, apologies for taking more than the time required because we had network challenges. I was actually literally fighting with the network. But thank you for your patience. Thank you for being here. Remember that you can always catch replay of this session, using the link. And remember that for every time, all right, every time that you tap into these things, you are practicing. Extend grace to yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. And remember that this is not a one-off. Please get yourself into the academy, get yourself into the inner circle. It's going to is liberating, all right? It's liberating. It helps you. It takes away that pressure. It takes away that space where you are in right now, when you're struggling. It takes it away, all right? So don't forget. One thing you must not forget today in that in teaching your children to control their own emotions, it is not about you controlling it. It's about them, and don't bail them out from their emotions. Don't bail them out, please. Don't. If there's nothing you heard today, all right, please remember not to bail your child out from their emotions. Their emotions are theirs to feel. It is not for you to control. Neither is it for you to get them escape route. You are not Jehovah. Jehovah, which one? Jireh, the giver of all things, including emotions escape. Please don't give them. Let them be able to, get all of these things themselves and put it into practice. All right. Thank you so much, for your time. Cherish any spirit that tells me that because I'm in the inner cycle, I shouldn't pay for a course is actually out to destroy me. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much and see you tomorrow again. And your worksheet is already ready. The team is going to share it with you, and then you will work on it. Please do all your work. Do them because that's where the work is. It's not about me, it's about you working it and working. And I want to see your transformational journey. And that's why we take our time and insist that you actually do this. the way it must be done. See you tomorrow at 10 o'clock same time. Thank you and do have an amazing day.